My chosen vessel, this is not a random message. This is not coincidence. Heaven is alerting you right now because the one you're connected to spiritually is in danger. And if you are hearing this, it means you were meant to hear it at this exact second. There are moments when heaven whispers, and there are moments when heaven sounds the alarm. This is the alarm. Archangel Michael stands at the edge of the unseen realm, sword lifted, not in fear, but in protection. He is not reacting late. He is responding before the damage becomes permanent, before the cry becomes silence, before the connection weakens beyond recognition. You have felt it, haven't you? That strained heaviness in your chest, that sudden thought about them out of nowhere, that restless sleep, that urge to check on them for no clear reason. You thought it was just emotion, but it was spiritual transmission. There is a cord between you and this person, not physical, not accidental, spiritual. And when one side trembles, the other side feels it. Right now, they are standing at a crossroads they have not told you about. They are fighting something quietly, and the danger is not what you think. This is not about physical harm. This is about spiritual suffocation. This is about their light being slowly dimmed by doubt, confusion, and a voice that is not from God. The enemy cannot break their destiny directly, so it is trying to isolate them from divine covering. And you are part of that covering. Listen carefully. Archangel Michael does not interrupt lives without reason. He guards purpose. He protects assignments. He stands watch over souls who carry divine threads in the larger tapestry of heaven's plan. And the person you are connected to is woven into your destiny more than you realize. That is why the alert is coming to you. Because your awareness activates protection. Right now, they are being tested. Right now, your faith is shaking. Right now, they are questioning their worth, their direction, their calling. They have not said it aloud, but in the spirit, they are crying, and heaven refuses to let that cry fade into silence. There is a spiritual interference happening around them, conversations that discourage, environments that drain, thoughts that do not sound like their true voice. It feels subtle, it feels normal, but it is strategic. The enemy studies timing. When someone is tired, he whispers louder. When someone feels alone, it suggests lies. When someone doubts themselves, it offers false solutions. And this person, the one tied to your spirit, has been absorbing more pressure than they show. You may have noticed distance, not rejection, not hating, just distance. A distance is not random. It is a sign that something is pulling at their clarity. But here is the revelation that should shock you. The reason you are being alerted before their cry reaches silence is because your role is intercession. You are not just connected for comfort. You are connected for protection. Archangel Michael is saying, do not ignore this nudge. Because when you pray, chains shift. When you speak life, darkness retreats. When you become aware, heaven moves. This is bigger than emotion. This is assignment. You were placed in their life not just to share memories, but to guard destiny. And right now, destiny is under pressure. Have you noticed how suddenly distractions entered your own life? How you almost clicked away from this message? How something tried to make this feel unimportant? That is not coincidence either. The enemy does not fear casual bonds. It fears covenant connections. It fears spiritually aligned partnerships. It fears when two souls strengthen each other toward purpose. So it attacks quietly. But Archangel Michael does not fight quietly when the hour is urgent. He is standing between what threatens them and what God has promised them. Yet protection requires agreement, and your agreement begins with awareness. This message reaching you right now is proof that heaven trusts you with sensitive information. You are being treated like a watchman, a spiritual guardian on the wall. If you ignore it, the silence grows. If you respond, the atmosphere shifts. There is still time, but not endless time. Something is attempting to convince them to withdraw, to give up on something important, a disconnect from something sacred. They feel misunderstood. They feel tired of explaining themselves. They feel like no one truly sees the battle inside them. But you see something. That is why you are here. Archangel Michael is not asking you to panic. He is commanding you to awaken. Pray differently tonight. Speak differently about them. Refuse to entertain negative assumptions. Call light over their mind. Because the danger is subtle, but real. And heaven intervenes through willing hearts. The cry has not reached silence yet, but it was getting close. And that is why this message found you before it was too late. There is more you need to understand about what is happening behind the scenes, because the root of this danger did not start today. It started earlier than you think. Beloved guardian of destiny, what you are about to understand now will change how you see this entire situation. The dangers surrounding the one you are spiritually connected to did not appear overnight. It hath been forming quietly, layer by layer, moment by moment, like a shadow that slowly stretches across the ground before anyone notices the sun is fading. This began when they stepped closer to their purpose. Yes, you heard that correctly. The attack intensified not because they were weak, but because they were progressing. There was a shift in their spirit weeks ago, a new level of awareness, a deeper hunger, a silent prayer they whispered when no one was listening. Heaven heard it, and whenever heaven marks someone for elevation, resistance increases. Archangel Michael has been observing this pattern. He has seen the spiritual pressure building around them. Not loud, not dramatic, but strategic. Opportunities that look promising, but drain them. People who smiled but subtly discouraged them. Thoughts that sounded logical but carried seeds of fear. The enemy rarely storms it loudly when someone is protected. Instead, it erodes confidence slowly. It introduces doubt disguised as realism. It isolates without making isolation obvious. And the person you are connected to began carrying silent burdens. They started questioning decisions they were once confident about. They began feeling unworthy of things they once believed were meant for them. They withdrew emotionally, not because they stopped caring, but because they felt overwhelmed internally. You sensed that shift, that uneasy feeling you couldn't explain. That moment when their voice sounded different. That conversation that ended too quickly. Those were not random details. Those were spiritual indicators. Archangel Michael is revealing something deeper. The real danger is not an event. It is a mindset trap being formed around them. A cage built from repeated negative thoughts. And if it closes fully, their cry will not be loud. It will become silent surrender. But here is the turning point. Heaven alerted you before that surrender became permanent. Because your role is not passive. You are spiritually positioned to interrupt this pattern. When you think of them and suddenly feel urgency, that is not anxiety. That is alignment. When their name crosses your mind repeatedly, that is not obsession. That is spiritual prompting. When you feel led to check on them, pray for them, or speak encouragement, that is not coincidence. That is assignment. Archangel Michael stands ready to enforce protection, but divine protection flows strongest where there is agreement on earth. That is where you come in. Your words carry weight in their life, even if they do not show it, even if pride hides it, even if distance masks it. Your voice still penetrates their spirit in ways you cannot see. But there is something you must avoid right now. Do not confront them with fear. Do not accuse them of drifting. Do not approach them with suspicion. The enemy would love for misunderstanding to create further separation. Instead, approach with calm strength, with subtle reassurance, with grounded faith. Speak life without making it dramatic. Archangel Michael says timing matters. Sometimes the greatest protection is quiet intercession. Sometimes the strongest shield is unseen prayer. And sometimes the most powerful intervention is a simple message that says, "I believe in you. You have more influence than you realize." But listen closely. The reason heaven is emphasizing urgency is because there is a decision forming in their heart. A decision they have not announced. A direction they are considering that could distance them from their calling. It looks practical. It looks reasonable. But it leads away from alignment. That is the danger. And if you had ignored this message, you would have missed the window to spiritually cover them during this critical phase. This is why I need you fully present here. What is unfolding is delicate. The next layer of revelation will show you exactly how to position yourself in this moment so that protection activates without conflict, so that strength flows without control, so that guidance happens without force. And before we go deeper, I want you to do something intentional. Engage with this message. Like this video so that it reaches others who may be in the same silent battle. Share it with someone who needs spiritual clarity. Comment below if this resonates with your spirit. Subscribe to this channel and become part of this growing watchtower of faith. When you join this mission, you are not just supporting content, you are strengthening a network of spiritual awareness across nations. There are others who need this alert just as urgently as you did. And what comes next will uncover the hidden root behind this spiritual pressure. Trust me, what you are about to hear will connect dots you didn't even know were related. Hold your focus, because the next revelation will shift everything you thought you understood about this connection. Faithful listener, what is being unveiled now goes deeper than surface emotions and temporary confusion. The root of this danger is not simply stress, not just external pressure, and not ordinary life struggles. It is a spiritual fatigue that has been silently accumulating inside the one you are connected to. And spiritual fatigue is dangerous because it disguises itself as normal tiredness. Archangel Michael reveals that this person has been carrying responsibility beyond what they admit. They have been trying to appear strong while internally feeling stretched. They have been smiling while silently questioning whether their efforts even matter. This is not weakness. This is the weight of purpose pressing against limited human strength. When someone carries destiny, resistance often attacks endurance. The enemy understood something about them that they themselves forgot. It recognized their potential impact. It saw the doors that are meant to open for them. It saw the influence they will carry in the future. And because of that, it began targeting their confidence early. Not through chaos, through weariness. Little disappointments stacked together. Delays that seemed harmless. Prayers that felt unanswered. Conversations that left subtle wounds. Each one small. Each one manageable, but together heavy. Archangel Michael is showing that the real danger is not that they will fall dramatically. The danger is that they may slowly stop trying, that they may begin settling for less than what God prepared for them. that they may silence their own spiritual hunger because it feels easier than fighting for clarity. And this is where your connection becomes critical. You are not in their life randomly. Your spirit recognizes when theirs is dimming. You feel shifts before they speak them. You sense distance before it is visible. This is not emotional dependency. This is spiritual alignment. There is a reason you could not shake the feeling that something was off. Because something was. They have been contemplating stepping back from something important. It may not look dramatic from the outside. It may appear like a practical adjustment. But spiritually, it would be a retreat from growth. Archangel Michael stands guarding their path, but he does not override free will. Protection is offered. Guidance is available. But choices remain theirs. And that is why heaven alerted you. Because intercession strengthens clarity. Right now, they are battling internal voices. One voice says, "Keep going. There's more ahead." Another whispers, "It is too exhausting. Just settle. Just step back. Just quiet your passion." A second voice is the one that must not win. The cry that heaven is preventing from reaching silence is not a loud scream. It is the quiet resignation that happens when someone decides their fire is no longer worth protecting. But here is the powerful truth. The fire is still there. It is not extinguished. It is only covered by ash. And Archangel Michael is positioning you as wind. Your encouragement can wid my courage. Your steady faith can remind them of who they are. Your prayer can break the mental fog clouding their judgment. However, you must move with wisdom. Do not overwhelm them with spiritual intensity. Do not confront them with accusations of losing faith. Instead, be steady. Be consistent. Be present without pressure. The strongest protection often comes through calm reassurance. Heaven is not asking you to control their decisions. It is asking you to strengthen their environment. When someone feels supported, they fight harder. When someone feels seen, they endure longer. When someone feels spiritually covered, they resist deception more clearly. Archangel Michael is clearing unseen obstacles even now. But alignment requires participation. Speak life over them privately. Call their name in prayer. Visualize them surrounded by light and strength. These actions may seem small, but spiritually they are powerful. There is still a window open. The decision forming in their heart is not solidified. Doubt has not fully rooted. Weariness has not completely overtaken hope. And that is why this message reached you at this exact time. Heaven intervenes before silence becomes permanent. You are being trusted with sacred timing. Do not treat this lightly. Something beautiful is meant to emerge from this season, but only if the current pressure does not distort their perception. The enemy hopes they will misinterpret this challenge as failure, but it is actually preparation. And you are part of that preparation. Now, respond internally. Align your heart with protection. Align your words with faith. Align your thoughts with strength. Because the next few days are crucial. A conversation may happen. A decision may surface. An opportunity may appear. And your presence will matter more than you realize. The cry has not reached silence. It hath been intercepted. Type "I stand" in the GAP in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 311 has just been released over your connection. As this sacred alert settles into your heart, understand that what you are witnessing is not just a warning but a calling. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description, you are not funding content. You are fueling intercession. Scripture declares, Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed, and today that promise speaks directly to you. When you give, you become part of the shield Archangel Michael is raising over countless unseen battles. This is your moment to say, I will not let another soul's cry reach silence. Your generosity becomes oil that keeps this prophetic lamp burning across nations. Heaven sees every seed. Heaven multiplies every act of obedience. Do not treat this as a small gesture. Treat it as a spiritual strike against darkness. As you release your support, expect open doors over your own household. Expect clarity where there was confusion. Expect renewed strength in areas where you felt weary. This is not a donation. It is alignment. Step into it boldly. Steady heart. What unfolds now is delicate and powerful at the same time. The atmosphere around the one you are spiritually connected to has already begun to shift. Not dramatically, not loudly, but subtly. Because whenever awareness enters a situation, spiritual pressure loses some of its grip. Archangel Michael has not stepped away. In fact, he has moved closer. There are unseen adjustments happening even as you listen. Conversations that were meant to discourage are being softened. Decisions that were leaning in the wrong direction are being delayed. Thoughts that were forming into conclusions are being interrupted. This is what happens when heaven finds a willing watchman. But listen carefully. The enemy does not retreat immediately. It attempts one more strategy. When doubt fails to overpower, it tries distraction. If discouragement cannot silence them, distraction will attempt to redirect them. And distraction is far more dangerous than obvious attack. Because distraction feels productive. It feels harmless. It feels like opportunity. The person you are connected to may soon be presented with something that looks beneficial on the surface. It may seem like a practical shift, a new focus, a different priority. But spiritually, it would pull their energy away from the very path that leads to fulfillment. Archangel Michael is not blocking blessings. He is guarding alignment. There is a difference. Not every open door is divine. Not every exciting option is destiny. And not every shift is progress. This is why your discernment matters right now. You may notice them speaking about new plans with unusual urgency. You may hear them rationalizing why stepping back from something meaningful is necessary. They may sound confident, but underneath that confidence could still be unresolved fatigue. Do not challenge them harshly. Do not dismiss their reasoning. Instead, ask gentle questions. Help them examine motives without feeling judged. Sometimes clarity emerges simply by hearing one's own thoughts spoken aloud. Archangel Michael works through wisdom, not force. There is also something else happening that you must understand. The spiritual pressure they have been under has revealed hidden fears they did not know were still inside them. Fear of failure. Fear of not being enough. Fear of disappointing others. These fears are not new, but they were dormant. Pressure wove them up. And when fear awakened, it seeks comfort. Comfort can sometimes look like retreat. But retreat is not what this season requires. This season requires endurance with support. And that is why your calm presence is more powerful than dramatic intervention. The next few interactions you have with them will carry unusual weight. Your tone will matter. Your timing will matter. Even your silence will matter. Archangel Michael is guiding you to become a steady anchor, not a storm. When someone is spiritually fatigued, they do not need intensity. They need stability. They need to feel that someone believes in their strength even when they can't feel it themselves. You might feel tempted to reveal everything you sense, to tell them directly that you feel they are in danger spiritually. But pause. Discernment is not always meant to be declared. Sometimes it is meant to shape how you respond. Heaven alerted you so that you would move wisely, not anxiously. The enemy hoped isolation would deepen, but now connection is strengthening. The enemy hoped confusion would solidify, but now awareness is interrupting it. And here is something profound. The very fact that you are still listening, still engaged, still concerned, means the bond between you is stronger than the pressure around them. Spiritual connections built by God do not break easily. They may stretch, they may strain, but they are not fragile. Archangel Michael stands as witness to that strength. He is guarding not only them, but the covenant thread between you. Because your connection has purpose beyond comfort. It has future impact. There are moments ahead where you will both stand stronger because of this current test. But tests must be passed, not avoided. Do not allow impatience to weaken what patience can strengthen. Right now, unseen battles are being negotiated in the spiritual realm. Timing is being adjusted. Influence is being limited. Protection is being reinforced. And you are part of that reinforcement. Continue praying quietly. Continue speaking live. Continue resisting the urge to assume the worst. The danger that once seemed immediate is now being confronted. But consistency will determine whether this shift becomes permanent. There is still more you need to understand about the decision forming in their heart, because it is connected to something from their past that has resurfaced unexpectedly. And once you understand that past influence, your compassion will deepen even more. Attentive soul, what is surfacing now is not random emotion, and it is not sudden confusion. It is history revisiting the present. The decision forming in their heart is deeply connected to an old wound they thought they had already healed from. Pressure as a way of reopening chapters we assumed were closed. Archangel Michael is revealing that this person once stepped forward in faith and faced disappointment. Not public humiliation. Not visible collapse. But internal discouragement. They invested effort, hope, and belief into something meaningful, and the outcome did not match their expectation. They told themselves they had moved on. They convinced others they were fine. But a small fracture remained beneath the surface. That fracture is what the enemy is pressing on now. When current stress met unresolved memory, it created a familiar feeling. And familiarity can be deceptive. When something feels similar to a past disappointment, the mind tries to protect itself by avoiding repetition. So their instinct now is not laziness. It is self-protection. They are thinking, if I step back first, I cannot be hurt again. This is the hidden root. Archangel Michael does not expose this to shame them. He reveals it so you understand their behavior without misjudging it. What looks like withdrawal is actually fear of reliving pain. What seems like indifference is actually caution born from memory. This is why harsh confrontation would damage more than heal. They are not running from purpose. They are running from the possibility of repeated disappointment. And here is the critical truth. This time is different. The environment is different. Their maturity is different. The support system is different. And the spiritual covering is stronger. But they cannot see that clearly because fear narrows vision. Archangel Michael is standing between past trauma and present opportunity. He is guarding them from making a permanent decision based on a temporary emotional trigger. Yet he will not force them forward. That is where your role becomes sensitive and powerful. You must become reassurance without pressure. When old wounds influence new choices, what heals is not argument. What heals is safety. They need to feel that even if something does not go perfectly, they will not stand alone. They need to know that support will not disappear if results take time. You may not even know the full details of the old disappointment. They may never fully describe it. But you can sense the hesitation. You can feel the guarded tone. That hesitation is not weakness. It is caution layered over hope. Archangel Michael is asking you to nurture the hope. Speak about the future with calm confidence. Remind them subtly of how much they have grown. Highlight their resilience without making it sound like a lecture. Sometimes simply reflecting someone's strength back to them reignites courage. And be careful of something else. Do not let your own fear mix into this situation. When you sense danger around someone you care about, it is easy to become anxious. But anxiety distorts clarity. Heaven alerted you so that you would respond with faith, not panic. The enemy would love to turn your concern into control, to make you overreact, to create tension between you and them. That would deepen the very isolation it originally attempted. Stay steady. Archangel Michael is reinforcing the protective boundary around them, but emotional stability from you will amplify that protection. There is also timing involved that you must respect. The old wound did not form in one day, so its influence will not dissolve instantly. You may see gradual improvement rather than immediate transformation. Do not interpret slow progress as failure. Even now, something is shifting internally within them. The voice that once said, "Step back," is losing volume. The voice that whispers, "Try again, but wiser this time," is gaining strength. Your prayers are strengthening that second voice. The cry that heaven prevented from reaching silence is beginning to turn into a whisper of resilience. It is faint, but it is there. You must understand how significant this is. Moments like this shape destinies quietly. Decisions made under pressure determine future paths. If they choose courage supported by wisdom, doors will open that seem distant. If they choose retreat out of fear, growth will delay. Archangel Michael has made it clear that destiny is still intact. The danger has not erased purpose. It has only tested endurance. And you are helping endurance win. The next stage of this unfolding will reveal something about you as well. Because your involvement in their protection is awakening a deeper awareness inside your own spirit. What you are learning through this situation is not only for them. It is also preparing you for something ahead in your own journey. Awakened guardian, what is happening now is no longer only about the one you are spiritually connected to. Something is shifting inside you as well. As you stand in awareness, as you pray, as you observe carefully, your own discernment is sharpening. And this is not accidental. Archangel Michael is not only protecting them, he's training you. There are seasons when heaven allows you to sense another person's spiritual battle because it is preparing you for leadership at a higher level. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is preparation. The fact that you could feel the danger before it became visible means your spiritual perception is growing. But growth always comes with responsibility. You must guard your own peace while guarding theirs. Here is something critical. When you stand in the gap for someone, the enemy may attempt to redirect pressure toward you. Not dramatically, not in obvious chaos, but through subtle irritation, distraction, or emotional heaviness that feels misplaced. You may have noticed moments of unexplained fatigue recently. Times when your mind wandered. Situations where small problems felt bigger than usual. This is not coincidence. When you step into intercession, resistance sometimes tries to test your stability. Archangel Michael is saying clearly, do not absorb what you are meant to confront. You are called to pray for them, not to carry their burden as your identity. You are called to support, not to lose yourself in their struggle. This distinction matters deeply. If you become overwhelmed, your clarity weakens. And clarity is your greatest strength right now. There is also something else unfolding. The person you are connected to is beginning to sense that something has shifted. They may not articulate it spiritually. They may not mention angels or divine alerts. But internally, they feel less alone than they did days ago. That is not imagination. That is covering. Archangel Michael has strengthened the atmosphere around them because you responded instead of ignoring the nudge. And heaven honors responsiveness. But now comes a pivotal moment. There may soon be a conversation that opens a door. Not a dramatic confession. Not a full breakdown. But a subtle admission. A sentence like, "I've just been tired lately." Or, "I don't know if this is worth it anymore." That will be your cue. When that moment arrives, resist the urge to immediately fix everything. Instead, listen. Let them speak fully. Let them empty the weight they have been carrying. Sometimes healing begins simply because someone finally feels safe enough to be honest. Archangel Michael works through patience as much as power. And remember this: your steadiness is more persuasive than intensity. If you respond with panic, they will close again. If you respond with calm understanding, they will open further. You are not being asked to deliver a sermon. You are being asked to embody stability. There is something powerful about quiet strength. It reassures without pressure. It guides without control. It protects without announcing itself. Right now, your spiritual maturity is being tested alongside theirs. Stay disciplined in your thoughts. Do not assume worst-case outcomes. Do not let fear write stories that have not happened. Continue declaring light over their mind and clarity over their decisions. And let me speak directly to you about something practical. If this message is aligning with your spirit, engage with it actively. Like this video so that it reaches others who are silently carrying similar burdens. Share it with someone who might be sensing danger around a loved one but cannot explain it. Comment your agreement below so that your faith becomes a public declaration. Subscribe to this channel and stand as part of this growing spiritual watchtower. When you support this mission, you strengthen the spread of awareness that protects unseen battles across the world. Your engagement is not small. It amplifies reach. It extends covering. And as you continue listening, understand this carefully. The situation is stabilizing, but it is not fully resolved yet. There is one final layer of resistance attempting to influence their decision. It is subtle, emotional, and connected to timing. The next revelation will uncover why the coming days are especially significant. What is approaching may look ordinary on the calendar, but spiritually it holds weight. Stay attentive, because what is about to unfold will require both wisdom and courage from you. Watchful spirit, the coming days carry more significance than you realize. What appears ordinary on the surface is spiritually sensitive beneath it. Timing is everything in moments like this, and Archangel Michael is emphasizing that a specific window is approaching where influence will be strongest. There is an upcoming interaction, decision, or opportunity that will act as a tipping point. It may not look dramatic. It may simply be a meeting, a message, a deadline, or a private moment of reflection. But spiritually, it is a crossroads. This is why the alert came when it did. The enemy's last attempt is not loud destruction. It is subtle persuasion. It will try to make retreat look wise. It will try to make delay look mature. It will try to make stepping back feel like self-care when in reality it is fear disguised as wisdom. Discernment is required now more than ever. The person you are connected to may feel unusually reflective. They may withdraw slightly as they process internally. Do not interpret this as failure. This is often what happens right before a breakthrough or a retreat. Silence can mean surrender, but it can also mean deep evaluation. Archangel Michael is guarding their mind intensely during this period. Thoughts that once spiraled are now being challenged. Doubts that once echoed freely are now being questioned. There is spiritual resistance happening in their favor, but free will still stands, and your presence continues to matter. There is something important you must understand about tipping points. They are rarely about the external event itself. They are about the internal interpretation of that event. If they interpret the upcoming situation through fear, they will step back. If they interpret it through faith, they will step forward. Your influence helped shape that interpretation, not by controlling their perspective, but by reinforcing truth consistently before the moment arrives. This is preparation. Speak words of confidence into their life before the decision appears. Remind them of their past victories. Reflect on times they overcame difficulty. Reinforce their capability gently, naturally, without making it feel like you are preparing them for something specific. Archangel Michael often prepares victory before the battle becomes visible. And here is something deeper. This tipping point is also testing their identity. They see themselves as someone who withdraws under pressure or someone who grows through it. Identity determines direction. The enemy is targeting identity. If they begin to believe, "I am not built for this," then stepping back feels logical. But if they remember, "I have endured before and I am still standing," then courage activates. You must become a mirror that reflects their strength. But guard your tone. Avoid sounding forceful. Avoid statements that make them feel evaluated. Instead, share observations. "I've seen how resilient you are. You handled tougher things before. You don't give yourself enough credit." These small reinforcements build internal architecture. Archangel Michael is also urging you to maintain spiritual discipline in this window. Increase your awareness quietly. Pray with intention. Visualize the upcoming moments surrounded by clarity and peace. Imagine their mind steady and unconfused. Because spiritual preparation influences physical outcomes more than most realize. There is also a personal test for you embedded here. Will you trust the process or will you become restless? When you care deeply about someone's direction, waiting can feel uncomfortable. But patience is part of partnership. Do not rush them into clarity. Let clarity mature naturally. Archangel Michael's sword is not raised in panic. It is raised in authority. And authority moves with confidence, not anxiety. You may sense slight emotional tension in the air as the key moment approaches. That is normal. Pressure often increases before release. But do not let temporary tension convince you that failure is inevitable. Something powerful is happening beneath the surface. The cry that almost reached silence is now transforming into internal resistance against defeat. They are stronger than they were days ago. More aware. More supported. Less isolated. And you played a role in that shift. Soon, the moment will arrive. A conversation, a realization, a choice. And when it does, your steady presence will anchor them more than you realize. What happens in that moment will not only influence their path, it will confirm something about your connection that you have not fully understood until now. Because this bond was never accidental. It was positioned. And what is about to unfold will prove it. Courageous heart. The moment has arrived in the spiritual realm even if it has not fully manifested in the physical yet. The tipping point you were warned about is unfolding quietly. Something is shifting in the mind of the one you are connected to, and this shift will determine whether the fire within them burns brighter or fades into quiet compromise. Archangel Michael stands unwavering, not with panic but with authority. The atmosphere around this decision is charged. There are unseen forces attempting one final whisper of hesitation. It sounds reasonable. It sounds safe. It sounds like relief. But beneath that whisper is limitation. The person you care about is standing internally between two voices. One says you've done enough. Protect your heart. Step back. The other says there is more in you. Do not shrink now. This is not just about an opportunity or a plan. This is about expansion versus contraction. Expansion requires courage. Contraction feels secure but leads to stagnation. Right now, your spirit is remembering something important. A promise they once felt deeply. A vision they once carried with conviction. It has not disappeared. It was simply buried under layers of fatigue and old memory. But in this moment, that buried promise is resurfacing. And your quiet intercession has played a part in that resurfacing. Archangel Michael reveals that the cry which almost reached silence has now transformed into a question. What if I try again, but differently? That question is powerful. It means surrender is not won. It means hope is negotiating its return. But this is still delicate. The enemy will try to attach urgency to retreat. It will suggest that stepping back immediately is wise. It will rush the decision toward safety. When pressure pushes for fast withdrawal, that is often a sign that breakthrough is close. Encourage patience. If a decision must be made, let it be made from clarity, not exhaustion. If a conversation happens, let it unfold with honesty, not defensiveness. Your tone remains crucial. Calm words create space for courage to breathe. Archangel Michael is also revealing something deeper now about your connection. You were not only positioned to guard them, you were positioned to witness their growth. What is happening now is shaping them into someone stronger than before. This challenge is refining their discernment. It is teaching them to recognize fear disguised as wisdom. It is strengthening their spiritual backbone. And you are learning too. You are learning how to stand steady without controlling outcomes. You are learning how to sense spiritual shifts without reacting emotionally. You are discovering the power of calm authority in moments of uncertainty. This is mutual refinement. There may be a visible sign soon that the shift has completed. It may be subtle, like renewed energy in their voice. It may be a statement that signals commitment instead of retreat. It may be a decision to continue rather than withdraw. When that happens, do not over-celebrate dramatically. Instead, affirm quietly. Reinforce stability. Let the momentum build naturally. Archangel Michael's protection does not end when the crisis passes. It continues as alignment stabilizes. Now hear this clearly. The danger that once hovered is losing ground. The silence that almost consumed their cry has been interrupted. But spiritual battles often leave lessons behind. And one of those lessons is vigilance. Do not return to complacency. Stay aware of patterns. Stay attentive to subtle shifts, not in paranoia, but in maturity. Spiritual connections require maintenance just like physical ones. And if this message has carried weight for you, if you have felt the intensity of this unfolding and the authority behind it, then respond boldly. Type "the fire will not die" in the comments if you receive this confirmation. Lesson code 818 has just been activated over your connection in your household. As this turning point seals itself in the spirit, understand that light spreads through willing hands. When you release super thanks, step into membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel, you are strengthening a spiritual shield over countless unseen lives. The word declares that when you sow generously, you reap generously, and today that promise speaks directly to your obedience. This mission is a river carrying warning, protection, and hope to souls standing at their own crossroads. When you give, you pour oil into that river so it never runs dry. Say within yourself, I will be part of keeping this fire alive. Let your seed become a prophetic act that pushes back silence wherever it tries to settle. Heaven records every act of faith. Heaven multiplies every sacrifice made with pure intention. As you give, expect fresh courage over your family and open doors over your calling. This is your moment to move from listener to partner. Do not delay the obedience your spirit already recognizes. Act now and become part of this unfolding harvest. Steadfast soul, what you are witnessing now is the aftermath of a spiritual battle that almost went unnoticed. There is a quietness in the atmosphere, but it is no longer the quietness of surrender. It is the calm that follows resistance. The one you are connected to has crossed an internal line, and even if they cannot fully articulate it yet, something inside them has chosen not to collapse. Archangel Michael has remained stationed at the edge of their decision, guarding not only their direction but their identity. And identity is everything. When a person remembers who they are, confusion begins to lose authority. Over the last few days, there has been a subtle strengthening in them. It may not look dramatic from the outside. They may still appear thoughtful. They may still be processing. But the weight that once pressed heavily on their spirit is lighter now. The voice that once encouraged retreat is weaker. It no longer sounds convincing. This is what happens when divine covering meets human willingness. But do not misunderstand this calm. It is not the end of growth. It is the beginning of maturity. The crisis has passed, but the lesson remains. And that lesson will shape how they respond to future pressure. Archangel Michael is revealing that this season has awakened discernment within them. They are beginning to recognize the difference between exhaustion and calling. They are learning to identify fear when it disguises itself as logic. They are understanding that stepping back is not always wisdom, and pressing forward is not always recklessness. This clarity is priceless, and your role in this transformation had not been small. You stood steady when they were uncertain. You prayed when they were silent. You resisted panic when confusion hovered. And because of that, the bond between you has deepened in a way that neither of you may fully comprehend yet. There is a new layer of trust forming. They may not speak it aloud immediately, but internally they feel supported. They sense that even in their quiet struggle, someone remained present. That realization strengthens courage. Archangel Michael now shifts your attention to something important. Do not treat this as a temporary victory and then withdraw your attentiveness. Spiritual growth requires reinforcement. Just as muscles strengthen through repeated resistance, clarity strengthens through consistent alignment. Encourage habits that sustain stability, healthy rhythms, honest communication, space for reflection, not through control, but through example. Model steadiness. Model faith without pressure. Model resilience without drama. Your example influences more than your words. There is also something healing taking place beneath the surface. The old wound that triggered this entire episode has lost some of its power. When they chose not to retreat this time, they wrote part of their internal narrative. They proved to themselves that past disappointment does not have to dictate present action. That realization restores confidence quietly. Archangel Michael emphasizes that the silence which almost consumed their cry has now been replaced with a new inner voice. It says, I am stronger than I thought. That voice may still be soft, but it is real. Continue to nurture it. In the coming days, you may notice them engaging again with renewed focus, perhaps with more caution, but also with deeper wisdom. This is healthy. Growth after pressure often produces balance. They will not move recklessly. They will move intentionally. And that is better than before. You may also feel something shift within yourself. A deeper confidence in your discernment. A stronger awareness of spiritual timing. A clearer understanding of how to respond when subtle danger approaches. This experience has refined you too. Archangel Michael does not waste battles. Every confrontation leaves training behind. Now, remain humble. Do not assume future challenges will not come. But do not fear them either. You have witnessed what awareness, patience, and alignment can accomplish. The connection between you was tested and did not break. The purpose surrounding them was pressured and did not collapse. The cry that almost faded was intercepted and strengthened. This is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration. Yet there is one final revelation ahead that will tie everything together. It will reveal why this alert came with such urgency and what it signals about the season you are both stepping into next. Stay attentive, because the meaning of this entire experience is about to become even clearer. Chosen intercessor, what is about to be revealed now will bring clarity to everything you have just witnessed. The urgency of this alert was never only about preventing a fall. It was about preparing both of you for elevation. The pressure that surrounded the one you are spiritually connected to was not random resistance. It was resistance triggered by proximity to breakthrough. Archangel Michael doth not sound alarms without reason. When heaven alerts you before a cry reaches silence, it means destiny is near a threshold. The enemy sensed advancement approaching and attempted to weaken resolve before the door opened. That is why the pressure intensified when it did. But here is the truth that should settle deeply in your spirit. If there were no greater level ahead, there would have been no heightened resistance. A battle was proof of movement. The confusion was proof of growth. The fatigue was proof of stretching. Archangel Michael is revealing that what stands ahead for this person is larger than what they have previously handled. New responsibility, greater influence, deeper impact. An expansion requires internal stability. That is why the season tested their endurance first. You were not alerted merely to rescue them. You were alerted to help stabilize them for what is coming next. And what is coming will require courage that has already been refined through this trial. There is an opportunity forming that aligns more closely with their true calling than previous options did. It may look similar on the surface to something from their past, but internally it will feel different. There will be more peace attached to it, more clarity, less striving, because this time they are not stepping forward from insecurity. They are stepping forward from awareness. Archangel Michael has been guarding not only against retreat, but against premature advancement. Timing has been adjusted carefully. Doors that seemed delayed were not denied. They were being aligned. Now alignment is closer than ever. You may notice signs of increased momentum soon. Invitations, conversations, ideas gaining traction. Do not be surprised if things begin moving faster than expected. Often, after a season of resistance, momentum accelerates quickly. Remain steady. Do not let excitement replace discernment. Continue grounding decisions in prayer and wisdom. The goal is not speed. The goal is sustainability. And hear this clearly. Your role does not diminish after the crisis. It evolves. You move from intercessor and danger to partner and growth. Encourage preparation. Celebrate progress without idolizing outcomes. Remind them that identity remains rooted in purpose, not performance. This balance will protect them at higher levels. Archangel Michael emphasizes that elevation without humility invites new vulnerability. But elevation with humility invites protection. Stay humble together. If this message has carried you through from the beginning until now, if you have felt the layers unfold and the clarity sharpen, then do not remain silent. Like this video so that others standing at their own crossroads can receive warning before silence overtakes them. Share it with someone who senses spiritual pressure around a loved one. Comment below what shifted inside you during this message. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a growing community that stands alert, not asleep. Join the membership if you feel called to stand closer to this mission. Your engagement strengthens reach. Your participation multiplies impact. And as you remain here, understand this. The final piece of this revelation is about you. Yes, you. Because just as they were being prepared for expansion, so are you. Your discernment has grown. Your stability has strengthened. Your confidence in spiritual timing has matured. What you walked through with them was training for leadership you have not yet stepped into. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your connection, he is shaping your calling. The urgency of this alert was proof that you are trusted with sensitive spiritual insight. And those who are trusted are being prepared for greater responsibility. The next revelation will uncover how this experience marks the beginning of a new season for both of you. Not a season of fear, but a season of strategic awareness and multiplied influence. What nearly became silence has become strength. And what nearly became retreat is about to become advancement. Faithful watcher, this is the moment where everything connects. What felt like a crisis was actually annihilation. What felt like danger was actually exposure. And what felt like urgency was divine positioning. Archangel Michael is revealing that this entire experience was not only about protecting someone you love. It was about activating a new level of spiritual authority in both of you. The silence that almost claimed their cry was not permitted because heaven had already marked this season as a transition point. The enemy attempted to use fatigue to block advancement. But instead of collapse, refinement happened. Instead of surrender, awareness rose. And instead of disconnection, your bond strengthened. Now look at what that means. You are no longer standing in the same place spiritually that you were before this began. You have seen how subtle pressure operates. You have witnessed how identity can be targeted. You have experienced how calm discernment shifts outcomes. That knowledge is power. Not worldly power, but spiritual authority. Archangel Michael is showing that your connection was tested because it carries future assignment. This was a rehearsal for larger battles that will require quicker recognition and stronger unity. And because you responded correctly in this season, you are now trusted with greater influence. There is a new steadiness in the atmosphere. The one you are connected to feels clear. They may not express it with dramatic words, but internally, they know they overcame something. That awareness builds resilience. It prepares them for higher levels without repeating old patterns. And here is something profound. The very wound that once tempted them to retreat has now become a reference point of strength. They can say, even silently, I faced that fear and I did not run. That statement reshapes identity. It builds inner confidence that cannot be easily shaken. Archangel Michael has not only guarded them from loss, he has fortified them for extension. But the message does not end there. Because this new season requires vigilance without anxiety. The lesson was not to live in fear of hidden danger. The lesson was to remain spiritually awake. Awareness is not paranoia. Awareness is maturity. You have grown in that maturity. You now understand how to respond when subtle heaviness appears. You recognize the signs of internal fatigue. You know how to strengthen someone without overwhelming them. These skills will serve you in more relationships, more situations, and more leadership moments than you realize. Do not underestimate what was built here. The enemy hoped this would weaken the connection between you. Instead, it clarified it. The enemy hoped silence would swallow purpose. Instead, purpose spoke louder. The enemy hoped retreat would feel safe. Instead, courage felt truer. Archangel Michael stands not in battle posture now, but in guardianship of growth. The sword that once defended is now positioned to clear pathways ahead. There is movement coming. Not chaotic movement, but strategic advancement. You may soon witness visible fruit from this season. Doors opening. Confidence increasing. Momentum stabilizing. When it happens, remember this moment. Remember how close silence came. Remember how awareness shifted everything. Gratitude will keep pride from entering. Humility will keep protection strong. There is one final truth that must settle deeply in your spirit before this message closes. You were alerted because you were trusted. Heaven does not reveal sensitive spiritual matters to careless hearts. The fact that you received this warning means your spirit is attentive, and attentive spirits are positioned for influence. Archangel Michael has marked this as a defining chapter, not because of drama, but because of growth. You both crossed an invisible line, a line that separates reaction from discernment, fear from faith, fatigue from resilience. And now, as the dust settles and clarity expands, a new season stands at the door. The final revelation will seal this with blessing and direction, confirming what this entire journey means for your future and theirs. Stay attentive, because what concludes this message is not simply an ending. It is a commissioning. Anointed guardian. This is the sealing of the matter. What began as an urgent alert has now become a divine confirmation. The one you are spiritually connected to was never meant to fall into silence. The cry that almost faded was heard in heaven long before it reached its lowest point, and you were positioned as part of the answer. Archangel Michael declares that this season has officially shifted. The danger that once hovered has been dismantled. The fatigue that once clouded judgment has been exposed. The old wound that tried to rewrite their future has lost its authority. What remains now is clarity strengthened by trial. This was not merely protection from loss. This was preparation for advancement. You must understand something deeply. When heaven sends an alert with urgency, it is because destiny is close to activation. The enemy sensed expansion approaching and attempted to interrupt it through subtle erosion. But erosion failed. Instead of collapse, there was awakening. Instead of retreat, there was resilience. And now the path ahead is different. One you are connected to will not move forward the same way they did before. They will move with sharper discernment, with healthy boundaries, with stronger awareness of their identity. They have learned how to detect fear disguised as wisdom. They have learned how to pause without quitting. They have learned how to lean on support without feeling weak. This is transformation. Archangel Michael now shifts focus to you one final time. You were not just a witness. You were a participant in divine timing. Your obedience to the nudge, your refusal to ignore the heaviness, your choice to pray instead of panic, all of it mattered. You were trusted with a sensitive moment, and that trust marks you. From this point forward, you will sense spiritual shifts more quickly. You will recognize subtle danger earlier. You will respond with greater calm authority. This experience has sharpened you. It has refined your discernment. It has deepened your maturity. You not downplay that growth. What always became silence has now become commissioning. The connection between you is no longer fragile. It is fortified. Tested bonds become stronger bonds. Pressured faith becomes resilient faith. And guarded destiny becomes unstoppable destiny. Archangel Michael stands not as a warrior in battle now, but as a guardian over expansion. The sword that once defended now clears the way. The atmosphere is lighter. The direction is clearer. The hesitation is fading. And this is your confirmation. The season of silent struggle is over. The season of intentional movement has begun. There will still be challenges ahead. Growth always invites new levels of responsibility. But you are no longer walking blindly. Awareness hath been activated. Unity has been strengthened. Protection has been reinforced. Heaven is not silent over you. Heaven is attentive. And the cry that almost reached silence has now become a testimony of interception. Type silence was broken in the comments if you receive this confirmation. Blessing code 1441 is now released over your connection, your household, and your next season. As this commissioning settles into your spirit, hear this clearly. The same way you stood in the gap for one soul, you can help stand in the gap for thousands more. When you release super thanks, step into membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are fueling a watchtower that refuses to let cries fade into silence. The word declares that those who sow beside all waters will see a harvest in due season, and today that promise speaks directly to you. Every seed you release becomes oil in the lamp that keeps these alerts burning across nations. Say within your heart, I will help keep the fire alive. Let your giving become a prophetic act that pushes back darkness before it matures. Heaven sees the obedience behind your generosity. Heaven multiplies what is surrendered in faith. As you give, expect protection over your own destiny and clarity over your own path. This is not charity. This is alignment with a divine mission. Do not delay the stirring you feel. Step forward and act now.